Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked about some of the superlatives that I have as we head into this thing. I have to believe that Oregon getting their first national title will be the most impactful of the group but let's be honest, everyone would have a huge impact with this national title, especially with it being the first 12 team. It would be a huge moment for any one of these programs. Ohio State got the first playoff ever with the 4 team. Can they do it again with the 12 team will be a fascinating thing to watch. But let's get into my CFP head coaching rankings. I did this with the quarterbacks yesterday, and it was very painful. I love all of these quarterbacks. They're all very, very talented guys. I love all these coaches. They're all elite coaches. They're all guys that I expect to be very, very successful in this field, whether it's at the school they are right now or moving on to another place. All of these guys are incredible. I want to get that out there off the top. I played around with some different things here and there based on some experience factors going into this thing, based off just who I think is going to be more ready on game day. A lot of different things kind of went into this, so spare me just a little bit is kind of the final thing I'll say here. But let's jump in. I'll have Spencer Danielson here at 12. I have all the respect in the world for what he has done at Boise State. It's been absolutely incredible to watch him unfold, and I think he's going to be a star in the college football world for years to come. That being said, he is at the G5 level. He does have to kind of up his game just a little bit. As you get into the playoff, there's a lot of different coaches that have been here quite a few times, have experience in this place. You're going to have to be able to meet them where they are, and that's going to be a huge, huge thing for him to do. Obviously, having number 2 makes that a little bit easier, but as of right now, I'd rank him as the number 12 head coach in this thing. I thought about bumping him up one more to this Rhett Lashlee spot. Rhett Lashlee I have here at number 11. He has done a great job of flipping this team from where they are even to begin the season, from where they are now. Made a QB change, fixed some of the issues that they had with discipline, with penalties and some turnovers and some issues that they were having early in the season. Got all of that fixed up, has a really, really good team that is working very, very well. The game experience is the one that kind of holds me back here. Being in the CFP is a totally different beast. Playing against some of these elite teams outside of the ACC is a totally different beast. So it's going to be fascinating to see what he can do up there in State College. But as of right now, it just comes down to hasn't quite coached at this level quite as long as I feel confident in him being able to execute this, especially when you're a head coach in the ACC. Having to go up to Happy Valley is a little bit of a new thing for you, but have all the respect in the world for him. Definitely a very capable head coach. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in the playoff. At 10 here, I have Marcus Freeman, and I could totally understand moving him up a couple more spots here. The one worry I have with him is a lot of his teams do this thing where they play really good football, really good football, really good football, and then right when they're supposed to just kind of coast through a game, they fall on their face. And they've been doing a good job of making sure that didn't happen towards the end of this year, but it's just in the back of my mind. I can't necessarily get rid of that part of it. Obviously, a lot of that can be put to rest this time around. He can win that game against Indiana, possibly beat Georgia, and then everything totally changes for this guy. But the way that I look at it right now, I just can't quite get past that Marshall loss. I can't quite get past that NIU loss. So the way that I see it, very talented head coach. I expect him to be around for quite some time if the NFL doesn't come calling, that's of course, but very, very talented guy and definitely one that I like a lot. Just some of those performances just leave a little bit to be desired from Notre Dame. Kurt Cignetti has been incredible to watch. I do not want to feel daunted here. I promise you I am not. So please do not come after me, Hoosiers fans. But he's going to be a star in this field. He has been absolutely incredible this year. He has rebuilt a program that no one betted on. Not even myself. I didn't even think about Indiana when I was thinking about the playoff. I'll be totally honest at the beginning of the season. But he is a guy that has every ability to be one of the elite head coaches in this field in the next couple of years. And the reality is the only thing that's holding me back here is that Ohio State performance. It was very different from every other performance they had all year. He's more than capable of making sure his teams are ready to take care of the business that they need to take care of, and in this year it's a hugely important thing to be able to do. But the reality is you're going to have to play an Ohio State. You're going to have to play a Georgia. You're going to have to play an elite team at some point. You're going to have to play a Notre Dame in a couple of weeks here. You're going to have to play some of those elite teams throughout this thing, and can he rise to that moment the way that came up a little bit short against Ohio State? And very, very talented coach, but just not quite to the level of competing with those elite teams on a consistent basis where I can feel very confident. This is the one I wanted to move higher. I'll be totally honest with you. I fought myself. I thought about bumping him just a couple of spots higher because I love Kenny Dillingham. The job that he has done at Arizona State has been, in my opinion, the most impressive of the year. That's why I gave him Coach of the Year yesterday. He has been absolutely incredible. The offense and defense have been remarkably improved. The playoff spot is just about shocking people. He was talking about it. I was actually watching him on Pardon My Take here a second ago. He made me want to bump him up a little bit more because he's so much fun to listen to. He is such a football guy, and he's one of those guys that he's one of my favorite coaches in college football, maybe my favorite coach in college football right about now. The reality is he hasn't quite gotten to this level yet. The reality is he hasn't coached in a CFP game. He hasn't coached in these big time moments quite as much as you would love for those other coaches to have. So I had to drop him a little bit. If I'm being totally honest, I had him up there near like 6'5". So I really, really like this coach. Thought about bumping him up a little bit more, but when it came down to it, I leaned a little bit more on the experience in those big-time games. James Franklin here at 7, and I understand people have beef with James Franklin. I understand people are saying he can't win the big one. He's not going to be able to get things done in this moment. And I understand that take. I'm not necessarily leaning away from that take by any means. But what I am saying is he does get 10 wins a year. He does put his team in a great position to take care of the business that they need to take care of the teams below them. And I think when you look at this path that they have, SMU is objectively below Penn State. Boise State is objectively below Penn State from a talent perspective, from an execution perspective. They should be able to handle business in those two games. So when I look at this bracket and the way that it's shaped up for James Franklin, I feel more than confident that he can get his team to a semifinal, that he can get his team in a position to possibly make a run of the national title. And then you got to get over the big-time hump, whether you're coaching against Marcus Freeman or Kurt Cignetti or Kirby Smart, you're going to have to step up to the plate. I still have my doubts about him, but I had to put him at 7 here. Has more experience than some of the guys below him. Very talented coach, and I expect him to continue to be a very, very good coach. We'll see what happens if he can change a little bit of the narrative this time around. Josh Heupel here at 6. He is an elite coach. He is a guy that might be a little bit higher on than some people out there, but he's done such an incredible job building this program up to what it is right now. Narrowly missed a couple of times, obviously, and Hendon Hooker injury away from this being the second time they went to the CFP instead of the first time. He's beaten Bama twice in big-time moments. He has a little bit more of that big game pedigree than some of the guys below him. He has a little bit more of that ability to say, we're playing a team that might be a little bit more talented, that might be a little bit more physical. We are going to meet them there. We are going to play as physical as they want us to play. We're going to try to push them around all the same, and they've done a great job this year. Has one of the best run games in the country, has a pass game that is as explosive as you will find in the country. I really like Josh Heupel. I could see people dropping him a little bit below, Kenny Dillingham, maybe James Franklin, a couple of these guys. Very talented guy. I have him here at 6. I think the world of Josh Heupel, and frankly, I think he's going to win a national title while he's at Tennessee. Ryan Day here at 5. He is a great coach. I understand that he is a fabulous coach, and I understand a lot of people don't think that quite as much. And the reality is he has coached in a national title. He has been to so many different playoffs. He's been to so many different Big Ten championships. He is a very, very good coach. He has missed the mark in some big-time moments. So I have my questions. I have more questions this year than I ever have about Ryan Day. I've been very, very bullish on Ryan Day throughout his entire career. This time around, I was a little bit more nervous. When they lost that Oregon game, I said, okay, that's one that makes a little bit more sense to me, but probably should have come out on the right side of that one with a couple of different changes to that game. And then you lose to Michigan, and then a lot of the questions start to come back up. So I did drop him a little bit here, further than I thought I was going to, but the reality is, when I look at this program right now, I can't feel confident that every single time they play a big-time game that they are going to be the more mentally and physically tough team on the field, and that's what it's going to come down to in this tournament. Steve Sarkisian here at 4. The flip that he has done at Texas has been just remarkable to watch. Obviously, the NIL has helped quite a bit, but the roster, the staff, the NIL, the recruiting, everything is heading in the right direction over there at Texas, and he has an offense that, when clicking, is one of the best in the entire country, has done a great job rebuilding that defense to become the strength of this team. He's a remarkable head coach. Obviously, a guy that hasn't quite gotten over that hump in that big-time game, hasn't quite gotten that CFP win, obviously was in the SEC championship, didn't quite get that one, won the Big 12 championship last year. Very talented coach, and definitely a guy that I think his teams have done a really good job of playing up to the moment at different moments throughout his career, whether that's the defense playing up to the moment or the offense or both of them doing it. He's done a really good job of, in those big-time games, making sure that his guys are fully ready to roll and they play some of the best football they've played. Obviously, that Georgia game got after him just a little bit, but a very talented head coach and looking to make a little bit of history, get his first national championship as a head coach. Dan Lanning here at 3. He is building a beast up there in Eugene. And I understand, even compared to Sark, he doesn't quite have the accolades that a lot of these other guys have. What he has done has been absolutely incredible. He is probably the best motivator in this entire field as far as I'm concerned. He is a guy that has all the X's and O's exactly where they want to be. He has elite staff around him. He is a guy that can do just about everything you need him to do. He is really, really remarkable. I fully expect him to be a national title winner, possibly a multiple national title winner before he ends his time over there at Eugene, and that'll probably be a while from now, if I had to be honest. Very, very talented guy, and we'll see if he can get that first national title this time around. I get it. Dabo Swinney has struggled the past couple of years. It is still Dabo Swinney. He still won 2 national titles in the height of the Bama era. He has still built Clemson into what it is today, and before he got there, it was just about nothing. And now Dabo Swinney came in, totally changed the way we look at Clemson, and he is an underdog against Texas. That's exactly where he wants to be. So we can question the approach. We can question how good they are going to be moving forward over the next 5-10 years. What we can't question is this guy knows how to win. We can't question is this guy in big-time moments has been able to step up to the plate like he did this past weekend against SMU. He's going to try to do it in Saturday again in Austin, and it's going to be fascinating to watch unfold. He is still one of the very best coaches in the entire country. He's obviously slipping just a little bit. I won't lie to you about that, and definitely thought about ranking him a little bit lower, but when it comes down to it, two national titles in the middle of the Nick Saban era, you're going to be number 2 on my list. No doubt about that. Number 1 is Kirby. This is the best coach in the country, period, end of story. There's really no argument to be had here. There are a couple other guys that are nipping at that number 2 spot. That's about all they're going to do. Kirby Smart is building a monster over there in Athens and doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. He is remarkable now. You just got to go for 3 out of 4, which is a very, very nice place to be if you're Kirby Smart. But the moment is just one of those things. The biggest thing here for why Kirby Smart is better coach than just about anyone in the country, and specifically in this field, is his team flips a switch better than anyone in the entire country, anyone that just about I've ever seen, if I'm being totally honest. They have an ability to go into a locker room and then come out after halftime and be a totally different team. They did it in the SEC Championship, and I have to imagine they're going to do it for just about the majority of the playoff. A very, very talented head coach, the very best head coach in the country, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. This was a very hard list to put together. I love some of these guys. Kenny Dillingham's one of my favorite coaches in the country. Wanted to rank him a little bit higher. Josh Heupel, I absolutely love. Might be ranked a little bit too high for some of the people out there, but a lot of remarkable coaches in this thing. Cannot wait to see how all of this unfolds, and one of these coaches is going to make some waves. One of these coaches is going to change the way that he is perceived in the college football world, and it's going to be a pretty special thing to watch. But that'll do it for this edition of the GSMC College Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It does make a huge difference. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all the social pages for all the content and updates you could possibly need. We have great people doing great work across every single sport you could want. So anything in the world of sports you need, come on over to GSMC and we have you totally covered. But thank you once again for listening. I'll be back tomorrow to break down who I actually think can win a national title and so many more things. So I'll see you then.